A man willing to train one of his horses to pull a carriage for no other reason than his youngest grandson saw someone racing a carriage on a TV show is probably the best grandpa in the whole entire world. He is the kind of person that is willing to take time and money just to make one of his grandkids happy. One of 17 at that. And every memory I have with my grandpa, which is many, is happy. Some people wouldn't think so. Like a memory that I have that some people would probably not think is that happy would be every summer I'd come up for a week, and that week we'd go out in the fields and pick rocks. And now to some people that might sound like just horrible work, but my grandpa had a way of making everything fun. He would just make funny little smart jokes and keep everyone laughing and singing while we were working, and it was a good old time. My grandpa was a man that did not grow up with much. He, before he had kids, he was young with many siblings and found a wife. And then once he finally had kids, he worked 40 plus hours a week to be able to support them. And then once he had grandkids, he was able to be there for them, be at every concert, recital, or anything. He is the world's best grandpa. Some of the things that happened in his life before kids is he was born on a farm, right in the same house that all of his 6 other siblings were born. He was the youngest of 6. He had 4 jobs before he was even 19. His youngest that he could remember was working on the farm, and he'd have to wake up and do his chores before school and after school. His school consisted of 27 people, 7 of which was his own family, and then 15 were the neighbor kids. And then the rest were just kids from around the area. His 4 jobs, he would go to town and sell some little potion that his mom would make out of clovers, and it was for helping with like cuts and stuff. And then he was a paper boy for a while. He always worked on the farm, and he sold vacuum cleaners. He met my grandma in town, and she was right around 17 when he was 18, and they started to date. Then once they started to date, he went off to the Air Force, came back for a 3-week leave, and got married to her, went back for another 1.5 years, came back for good to take care of the farm, and then a 1.5 years after that, they started to have their first kid. And once they had their first kid, my grandpa was still working 40 plus hours a week, and some on the farm and the rest at the paper company, where he would take care of the boiler and do anything else that they needed. My grandpa told me that while he was there, he had worked every single job that that place had. He lived in the small town of Pillager his whole entire life. Even though he had 6 kids and had to work a lot to be able to support all of them, he found time to go on vacation and have fun with his children. And all of his kids still tell us stories, all of their sons and daughters, stories about how when they went on vacation, they would travel around the whole entire country in their little car and just have a grand old time. When then he finally became a grandpa about 30 years ago, when my first cousin was born, and now he has 15 grandsons and 2 granddaughters, all of which enjoy spending time with him, and he makes it to every single one, or as much as he can, of their events that happen, sporting events or recitals, concerts, and everyone loves being with Grandpa. Some of the best memories we all have is when we all come together for Christmas and Grandpa hosts it, and he takes us out, and he'll take one of his big trucks, hook up a bed to it, and we'll all hop on it like it's pulling a sled behind a truck in one of his fields. My grandpa is the world's best grandpa to wrap up with. He, ever since he was little, he didn't have that much, and growing up he had to support his family. And now that he's all grown up and wise, he is there for all of his grandkids, and he is always giving us advice and teaching us about the Lord. Congratulations on turning 80, Grandpa.